Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely dive into the deep end of a 400 million year old story to uncover the actual truth about the ocean's most iconic inhabitants. Now, I want you to forget the Hollywood blockbusters and those crazy sensational headlines just for a minute, because today we're going to look at the hard science, the history, and the absolutely unbelievable biology of a creature that has been swimming around our world's oceans since way before the very first dinosaurs ever walked the Earth.
So let's kick things off by asking a pretty simple but honestly provocative question. Are we completely wrong about the ocean's greatest predator? I mean, from the moment we're old enough to swim, pop culture kind of trains us to fear that dark shadow beneath the waves, right? But as you'll see in our deep dive today, the whole narrative of the mindless, man-eating machine isn't just a little inaccurate. It's actually a profound misunderstanding of one of the most highly sophisticated and frankly vital animals on our entire planet.
Section 1. Ancient Survivors, a Legacy Older Than Trees.
The sheer, unfathomable scale of time we're looking at here is just staggering. We literally have fossilized scales dating back 458 million years ago to the late Ordovician period. To put that into perspective, sharks existed millions of years before the very first tree ever even took root on dry land. By 419 million years ago, the first true shark-like ancestors were already navigating the Devonian seas. And by the time the Jurassic period rolled around about 200 million years ago, the blueprints for the modern sharks we know today were completely drawn up. With over 500 diverse species out there today, these animals have successfully survived multiple global mass extinctions that wiped out the vast majority of other life on Earth. 392 years. That is the estimated age of a single Greenland shark documented by scientists. Just let that sink in for a second. Born nearly 4 centuries ago, this specific individual animal was swimming in the icy depths before the Industrial Revolution even began. That makes it the longest-lived vertebrate known to science. Absolutely incredible. Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of a Marvel, Built for Survival. Sharks are, without a doubt, biological marvels that have been fine-tuned by hundreds of millions of years of evolution. Unlike us, their skeletons aren't made of heavy bone. They're actually made of cartilage, which is about half the density, saving them massive amounts of energy. And for buoyancy? Well, they don't use a gas-filled swim bladder like most bony fish do. Instead, they rely on a massive liver, which, get this, can make up to 30% of their total body mass. It's packed with squalene oil to provide dynamic lift. Even their skin is this wild weapon of efficiency. It's covered in diurnal denticles, which are essentially tiny, flexible teeth. This unique skin drastically reduces drag, granting them insane hydrodynamic speed. Couple all of that with a specialized heterocircle tail fin, where the upper lobe is larger, and you have an unparalleled, highly efficient engine for oceanic locomotion. And this evolutionary mastery definitely extends to their most famous feature, those jaws. You see, a shark's teeth are not fixed directly into their jawbone like ours are. Instead, they sit in the gums and operate on this continuous lifelong conveyor belt system. As the front teeth wear out or snap off, new ones just roll right forward to replace them. Some sharks can go through an astonishing 30,000 teeth in a single lifetime. Whether they have flat teeth for crushing hard crustaceans or serrated triangular teeth for slicing, their dental engineering perfectly adapts to whatever their specific diet happens to be. All right, Section 3, the ocean's super senses, mastering the depths. Now, consider something called the ampullae of Lorenzini. I know it sounds like some kind of magical artifact, but it's actually a super complex network of electroreceptor organs located around a shark's head. What this practically means is that sharks possess the greatest electrical sensitivity of any animal. They can literally detect the faint electromagnetic fields produced by the beating heart or the flexing muscles of prey that are completely hidden, completely out of sight, buried beneath the sand. And if that wasn't cool enough, they can use these exact same receptors to sense ocean currents moving through the Earth's magnetic field. It basically turns their heads into built-in internal compasses for global navigation. When we stack shark senses up against our own human senses, the differences are just astounding. While we stumble around in the dark, sharks have this specialized tissue behind their retinas called the tapetum lucidum. It bounces light back through the eye to give them highly effective night vision. We might feel the water around us when we swim, sure, but a shark has a tactile sensory system called a lateral line running all the way down its body. This lets them detect incredibly subtle pressure changes and vibrations in the 25 to 50 hertz range, meaning they can actually feel struggling prey from far, far away. And while we just smell a random scent in a room, sharks can smell directionally.
they can determine exactly which nostril received a scent first to perfectly triangulate their target. I mean, they are incredibly complex sensory machines.
This brings us to Section 4. The monster myth, Hollywood versus reality. So out of more than 470 different species of sharks swimming out there right now, only 4, specifically the great white, the tiger, the bull, and the oceanic white tip, have actually been involved in a significant number of fatal, unprovoked incidents with humans. The whole cinematic trope of the vindictive man-eating monster, popularized by phenomenons like the movie Jaws, it just simply doesn't align with the actual data. In fact, the creator of Jaws later spent a huge portion of his life trying to dispel the very myth his own work helped create. The reality is, sharks show virtually no pattern of attacking humans specifically. When they do, it's very often just a tragic case of mistaken identity and poor visibility.
4.3. That is the global average of human fatalities per year from unprovoked shark attacks. In a world of 8 billion people, where millions and millions of us swim in the ocean every single day, the statistical reality of being attacked is incredibly, overwhelmingly small. You are far, far more likely to be injured by everyday, totally normal occurrences on land than you ever are by a shark in the sea.
Section 5. The real global threat, flipping the script. 100 million. That is the estimated number of sharks killed every single year by humans. When you contrast that 4.3 human fatalities with 100 million dead sharks, the entire narrative completely flips. The apex predator of the ocean isn't the shark, it's us.
And this staggering death toll translates directly into a massive ecological emergency. Over the last 50 years, we've seen a 71% global decline in oceanic shark and ray populations. Because sharks actually take years to reach sexual maturity and they produce very few offspring compared to other fish, they simply cannot reproduce fast enough to replace the tens of millions that we extract from the ocean annually. As it stands today, over 1/3 of all shark and ray species are actively being driven toward extinction. So what is actually driving this massive decline? Well, commercial overfishing is a primary culprit, which is driven by the demand for both shark meat and the highly lucrative trade in shark fins. Then there are government-sponsored shark culling programs. These deploy nets and baited drumlines intended to protect public beaches, but they end up indiscriminately killing thousands of sharks and other marine life. On top of that, just the pure physical stress of being caught in fishing gear causes capture-induced premature birth in at least 12% of live-bearing shark species. You add in the destruction of vital coastal habitats and ever-rising pollution, and it's clear these ancient survivors are facing an unprecedented barrage of threats.
Surprisingly enough, one of the main economic drivers of this decline actually poses a severe threat to humans as well. Shark fin soup is often culturally considered a healthy status symbol. However, scientific research consistently shows that shark fins contain dangerously high concentrations of a neurotoxin called BMAA. This specific compound is actively being studied for its pathological role in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So the harvesting of these fins isn't just completely devastating to oceanic ecosystems, it poses a very real, very serious health risk to the people who consume them.
Section 6. Conclusion. A call for conservation. Fortunately, global momentum for conservation is really building. Back in 1991, South Africa led the charge by becoming the very first country to legally protect the great white shark. By the year 2000, the U.S. passed the Shark Finning Prohibition Act, making it completely illegal to fin sharks at sea. By 2013, massive markets like New York began outright banning the fin trade altogether. And if we look at recent advancements, by 2020, scientists were successfully using DNA analysis in retail markets to trace the exact origins of illegal fins, which really helps crack down on the black market supply chain. From the declaration of expansive shark sanctuaries in the Pacific to much stricter trade regulations, international efforts are absolutely stepping up to protect these animals. I want you to imagine, for just a moment, an ocean without sharks. As top-order predators, they maintain the balance and the overall health of marine ecosystems everywhere. Without them, the intricate food web they regulated for 400 million years begins to completely unravel, leading to unpredictable and catastrophic consequences for the entire ocean. The true story of sharks really isn't a horror movie about mindless monsters. It's this incredibly fascinating saga of an ancient, perfectly adapted marvel of nature that now desperately needs our understanding and our protection. What happens next in their 400 million-year-old story is entirely up to us. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.